United Pubcast, Spurs 2, Manchester United 2. Welcome back for your live match review. Now, at halftime, we're going to have a very different discussion. 45 minutes later, the landscape and pitch changed drastically. Unpredicted. I think before the game, a lot of us had a draw sort of written all over this, and obviously, in hindsight, we can say, yep, we got the prediction right. But at halftime, in the way we were playing and the way Tottenham were playing, and this was only going to be 5 or 6-0. Something happened at halftime, whether that was personnel, tactics. Tottenham came out a different team. I'm not sure what happened at halftime. Sorry, but the game changed. Now, I wouldn't say our season has changed, but we do have to be very careful, Larry, because Newcastle had a big win away at Goodison Park. They move above us in the third. We stay in fourth position now. I'm just thinking, okay, it wasn't as bad as 7-0. It wasn't as bad as 6-3. It wasn't as bad as losing away at Sevilla 3-0. But my God, my feeling now, there's a bit of anger in this one because ultimately whether you want to turn I don't think you'd use the term bottle in, but we've absolutely thrown it away. Like in regards, I don't think we felt the pressure of Tottenham while we bottled it, but I thought it was our own doing in regards to our attitude.
100% right, Tom. There were two things that got wrong, that went wrong here for Manchester United. The first one, you're right, is the attitude. In the first half, I messaged you and I was like, it almost seems too easy. It almost
I was
feels
disappointed with Tottenham. Tottenham were just they're woeful.
They didn't turn up. As simple as that. The gaps in midfield that Spurs were leaving for United is something that you see in Sunday League. I see it on the weekend when I go to my local park. It just shouldn't happen at a professional level, to be honest. And I don't think I'm dramatizing how bad Spurs were defensively and out of possession. And it was just too easy. If you look at Sancho's goal, again, well taken goal, and credit to him. He looked good today, Jadon Sancho. Better performance. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I thought, looked really good in the first half. He's almost playing midfield in the second half before he came off, wasn't he? And he looks good there. I don't know if that's something Eric Ten Hag is thinking about longer term or not. But we'll guess we wait and see. But yeah, you're right. The attitude in the second half wasn't there. I think United almost absolutely did get complacent. It was too easy, and they thought, oh, we'll just take it easy now. Wrong attitude. Spurs come out. They score an awful first goal, to be honest. I got to say, the strike is well taken. United never should have been in that position. They were applying pressure to us. We almost became as bad as Spurs were in the first half. Woeful. And then on top of that, we're up 2-1, and he takes off his best footballers. The substitutions by Eric Ten Hag, Tom, were absolutely woeful. Now, again, this isn't saying Eric Ten Hag out or anything like that, but we have to criticize him when we praise him. Malacia has been off it for a while. His positioning has been shocking. And we saw in the Sevilla game as well. And he repeats that kind of consistently week in, week out, Malacia. He needs to work on his positioning. Weghorst, awful. Fred.
I thought bringing Weghorst on. I thought when we brought Weghorst on, that sort of forfeited all sort of motive and intent to go and score.
I don't know what Eric Ten Hag was thinking. I really don't. If you want to see a game out and you're 2-1 up, you don't take off Eriksen for Fred or Weghorst. You just don't do it. It's criminal. And the thing is, I never see a top manager tamper with a back four when they're in a winning position. I don't see that happen. Not at 2-1.
Do you feel like, which I agree, and looking, we can see the result of these substitutions and say we're right in saying Eric Ten Hag got it wrong. Of course we are. But casting mind back to halftime and how comfortable we were and what we've been screaming every single week from Eric Ten Hag. And this is, again, I'm criticising him, but just in terms of playing his side of the fence in regards to, we've talked about rotation. We need to rotate. We've got a big FA Cup final. These players have been running to the ground. 2-0 up and absolutely cruising. Now, yes, cruising, obviously, okay, that's in a past tense. We need to sort of continue that in the second half. But ultimately, this is the one game you could sort of tamper with the back four and rotate because we were so dominant. Now, ultimately, it hasn't proved to be correct. But it was just, we've been screaming for substitutions and rotation. Suddenly it happens, and then you say, well, that's why.
I'd agree with you if he made the subs at halftime. That's not what happened here. Yeah. He made the subs at 2-1. We had already conceded a goal before he starts making substitutions. And I don't mind the Martial substitution. I don't think Martial was good when he came on. But the Martial substitution, you can kind of make sense of it. You put Rashford in his favoured position. You got a more focal number 9. I got no issues with that. But when it's 2-1, you really need to control the game and push on for the second. And it is Tottenham. This wasn't the game to rotate. We said, this game could almost secure top 4 or take a major step in doing that. Now, in the grand scheme of things, a draw isn't the worst result. But given where the game was in its context, it was poor by Ten Hag. And I thought Fred's shocking, man. the gap between his best and his worst is phenomenal. He is a woeful footballer, honestly. He kills me because when he's good, I'm full of praise for him. But this is why he can't be a United player. Like, that is the difference between a Manchester United player and a player for Everton. It's consistency, and Fred isn't consistent. That's why one of the best players technically I ever saw was at QPR, Tarat. If you remember Tarat, technically brilliant. He had everything. When he was on his day, world class, unplayable. Problem is, he did it once every 20 games. Fred is that same kettle of fish, except Fred doesn't have the ability that Tarat had. So when Fred drops off, you're like, mate, he's not. I know I've flip flopped on this, but from what I've seen in McTominay box to box, when he's deployed in that box to box, if you are selling one of those players, I actually think Fred would be the one. When you take everything,
that's not about thinking. That's not. There's only one correct answer there, and I know a lot of people sort of don't like McTominay and Fred. They choose Fred. Fred is the wrong answer in regards to that. Like, I understand McTominay sort of gives frustrations, but that is the wrong answer. That's not up for opinion in regards to that consistency. Okay, you get 8 out of 10 and a 2 out of 10, or do you want the 6 to 4 out of 10? Like, obviously, McTominay is going to give you a little bit more consistency, which is obviously what that midfield in terms of stability does need. But I'll say there's some people in the live chat, so do get your frustrations in for us to sort of dissect. And we'll get into 3-2-1s in a little bit. I don't know if we can hand it out after the way that match finished. But Tom, good to see you, mate, completely through this game. We had the game in our hands in the first half. That gave them hope and completely crumbled in the second half, which we've done too often this season. Look, at halftime, we're thinking 5-6 goals, and rightly so. And ultimately, that switch sort of changed at halftime, and very disappointing. Rob, so angry after that. I can feel your anger, mate. Tad starting to question Ten Hag for the first time. I think we can always have questions over Ten Hag, and again, that's not Ten Hag out of anything. I understand you saying that, Tad, but yeah, well, one or two things. He's still, we talked about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer learning on the job. Well, Ten Hag maybe not learning managerially, but he's learning in regards to Manchester United and the English Premier League and fixture congestion. So Erik Ten Hag is making a few mistakes, but yeah, he's human. He's a manager. He's going to make mistakes. It's how he learns from this, which I think Erik Ten Hag has sort of bounced back from disappointments over his time at Manchester United. So we're right to question him. Very frustrating when the questions do need to be there, but that is a sign of being a Manchester United manager. Tom here as well. Ten Hag needs to focus fitness drills because these guys have the endurance of my old man walking slowly up a hill. I tend to agree, but then I also look, it's not so much work on his fitness, it's work on rotation earlier in the season. I think that's where the issue needs to be done. I think these players are fit. They shouldn't be playing 60 games a season when we have depth. Whatever we think of that depth, we do have numbers to come in. But as I said, was it Charlton or Reading and games like that when Real Betis and games like that, that's where you rotate. It shouldn't be about games like this against Tottenham. Rob here, Fred, woeful. Tad, Malacia, Fred, Martial. Yeah, Martial didn't get into the game. Fred was Fred and Malacia. Yeah, it's struggling. I thought that Malacia and Weghorst, when they came on, look, again, I didn't mind sort of rotation. I understand the substitutions and the approach in the second half did prove costly, so I do look at Erik Ten Hag. But just the personnel, I look at Malacia and Weghorst when they came on, and it was just forfeited all sort of right to go and sort of win the game. Like, when you weigh up the names, and I know Tottenham, Larry, I know in the last couple of weeks or year or whatever situation you want to look at Tottenham, they're woeful. But if you look at the names on the pitch, you look at Son, Kane, players like that, whatever you think of Richarlison, okay, he's woeful, but Richarlison, Perisic, players like that, okay, there's something there. They can do something. You go on the other hand, can you win a game at the highest level? Like, you can see Kane scoring a goal at the highest level. You can see Son scoring a goal at the highest level. Players like that. If you've got Weghorst, Marcia, Fred, and they plays at the start of the game, you're going to put in a professional game to go and win a match. They're obviously players who can come in and do a job here or there, sort of thing, but kind of just on paper, it really felt quite even in the end. We're at the start of the match, okay, we're the best team, we're going to go and sort of assert our dominance. Suddenly you have those type of players in a close match. You think, well, okay, they might see the job out, they might do a job and be solid. Okay, they weren't solid, but you could see a situation where they are they players who are going to go and win a game and dominate a game on paper? And I don't think they are.
Agree. And that's the thing. That's why I'm so critical of the substitutions. And I'm all for rotating, but this wasn't the game to rotate. Like I've said it time and time again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. When you're up 3-0 against Nottingham Forest in the League Cup, that's when you rotate your side. Not when you're fighting for a top 4 rival against Spurs. And particularly when you're not 2-1 up and they've just scored that last goal. If we scored the second there, I can understand because mentality-wise, United are in the ascendancy. Spurs had all the energy. They were the ones with the momentum. They're the one on the comeback trail. You don't bring off your game controllers and Christian Eriksen and substitute your best defender in Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Tom brings up the point here. Subs lost the game. That's just looking for excuses. The only sub that was questionable was Weghorst. Otherwise, subs are understandable. I can see the understand, but in regards to 2-0 up, what sort of mindset do you have at 2-0 in regards to, seeing a game out at 2-0 or also going for a third goal and killing the game off?
I think it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think from Erik ten Hag's perspective, you could go either way. I mean, hindsight, who knows? At the end of the day, I thought Tottenham were a really poor side. They improved in the second half, but were they what you'd call prime Tottenham or a prime top Premier League side? I thought United just lacked game control. So, I mean, whether you control the game, whether you go for a third or you stay safe. I'm never a fan of trying to protect a lead in the 60th minute. I think you're setting yourself up for disaster. I never believe in that style. The only time when I guess you could say that is when you're versing like a Manchester City, you're sitting compact and you're looking to counter. That's the only time, but that's actually because you've tactically set up from minute 1 to minute 90 to do that. Against Tottenham, United were not looking to sit back. So in any case, if you're looking to control a game, that shouldn't happen before the 80th minute, really, or the 75th minute.
We're pointing the finger at Erik ten Hag, and we can look at his tactics and the substitutions. And I'm somewhat critical, not too over the top. I just one or two questions more than sort of criticism. The players. It's the players. Like, okay, yes, we can point the finger at Erik ten Hag, and that has an influence, of course. But these players, in terms of 5-yard passes and attitude, in terms of winning the tackles and stuff like that, I just thought ultimately that's where the problem did lay in that second half, like in terms of players doing their individual jobs.
I agree with you. I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, Fred was really bad when he came on. Now, Fred placed his potential. Does it end up being a better result? But the Weghorst substitution, like, what are you doing? Sorry, and Sabitzer was sitting on the bench, by the way. I don't know if he's injured or whatever, but he brings on Weghorst in midfield, and he's not a midfielder. And you got Sabitzer sitting on the bench. Like, explain that one to me.
Yeah, if Weghorst went up front and played a bit of a target man, Anthony Martial wasn't on the pitch. Okay, you can kind of understand. But yeah, with Sabitzer and a straight shootout between Weghorst and Sabitzer, you just think, look, Erik ten Hag knows about it more than me. He obviously had a reason for it, but the reason didn't work. And but Matt here saying,
before you come to Matt's comment, Malacia, what's our strongest defense at the moment? Because Luke Shaw is obviously going to be centre back for the rest of the season. I almost say you stick with Delo at left back and Wan-Bissaka at right back. Malacia for me is.
I know I've called that last couple of weeks. Or since Delo had that game, was it?
Where he scored
the game before the semi-final? Yeah, Nottingham Forest. I think that's clearly a back four at the moment in terms of, let's say, Rafael Varane might be back for the Manchester derby, who knows? But as things stand at the moment, you definitely got Wan-Bissaka and Delo at fullback and Victor Lindelof and Luke Shaw, who I thought Luke Shaw had a very good, I say first half, second half, we can sort of dissect one or two incidents, but first half I thought Lindelof and Shaw especially did really well, but obviously that's well in the past and sort of long forgotten in regards to how the game did turn out. But Matt here saying, cut the team a break, we've gone to the end in all the competitions, we still have a hybrid team of Oli and Jose, etc. Ten Hag working miracles, 2 red cards, every player injured, no striker, wireless. Definitely not slagging. Look, you won't find a bigger fan of Erik ten Hag than myself in regards to as he's been absolutely brilliant on and off the pitch. Erik ten Hag is working miracles. I'm close to building a statue for him outside Old Trafford. You can have questions over him, and the questions aren't, "Oh my God, I don't think he's the right man for the job." I think we should give him a 15-year contract. Like, I had questions over Sir Alex Ferguson. I was in the back of the Stretford end once where Sir Alex Ferguson took off Tom Cleverley for Ryan Giggs. Tom Cleverley was a young player coming through, and I was shocked in terms of the reaction towards Sir Alex Ferguson in terms of, and it was the right, because why are you bringing, 3 or 4-0 up? Why were you bringing Tom Cleverley off, who was having a good game, to bring Ryan Giggs on, who was 38 or 37 at the time, sort of thing? It just made no sense at all. I'm just thinking, we question, what was that decision about? So sometimes with Erik ten Hag, with these subs, he's absolutely brilliant. He's the perfect man for the job. Why'd you make that sub, Eric? So I think questions and criticisms are two very different things.
Oh, Erik ten Hag's the man, 100%. I'm frustrated by the result because United were in such control. Tottenham didn't do anything to make it too well. It's not like Tottenham weren't brilliant and forced their way back. I thought it was United's complacency, game management, and poor substitution that ultimately costs us the 2 points that were dropped. But in saying that, I mean, like you're rightly saying, Matt, Erik ten Hag's done a phenomenal job. He's had a wonderful season. And I think if United are going to win a title, I think he's the manager to do it. I really do. But if he gets it wrong, I think it's completely fair to criticize. Emad, you're right. They were better than us, but they were better than us because of United's mistakes, not because Tottenham were.
I think that's the thing. When Tottenham were playing well, I was thinking they're not really playing well. I was thinking we'll just, I don't want to say letting them walk through, but pretty much letting them walk through.
That's what I'm saying.
And even in the first half, were we really that good? Because I was actually more disappointed with, I use the word disappointment. I wasn't sort of disappointed. I was glad to see it. But even in the first half, we looked good. But really looking at it, it wasn't that we were good. It was Tottenham were shocking in the first half.
Box makes a good point. It's similar Sevilla, 2-0 up, you drop the game. Bad substitutions, bad game management. Like, I think it's right to call these.
I go to bad substitutions and game management, which I agree in part. But then I also look at the individuals coming on. Go do your job.
Agree. Yeah, there is. Of course, there's an element of that. But I just think changing your back four when you're 2-1 up is strange to me. I don't get it. I think if we were 3-0 up and you want to give Malacia match fitness, no problem. I'm on board with that. Not when you're 2-1 up and the opposition just scored. I don't think unsettling your back four like that was the right move.
This was a key moment for me. Bruno Fernandes. Once that was criminal, it was look, he should score. Of course, it would have been one of the goals of the season in regards to the little nutmeg. Ultimately, should have done a little bit better, but that obviously does kill the game off. But look, Bruno Fernandes, look, he probably celebrated when it hit the crossbar, but it was one of those ones where, sorry, that wasn't from me, that was from Tad, but yeah, that obviously kills the game. That's an individual error from Bruno Fernandes. But in regards
Bruno was class today, by the way. He was.
Oh no, Bruno was very good, of course. And look, he's one of the players. All the players we do need to talk about, sort of their commitment to the cause. But Bruno Fernandes, I was shocked he was even in London. I thought he was on the couch.
He's a robot.
So
if ChatGPT is a human, it's Bruno Fernandes.
But again, if you go back to rotation, there we're talking about substitutions and sort of game management and rotation, and sort of weighing up the fixture congestion. Should Bruno Fernandes have played this game? Now, yes, he was good in regards to, having your best players on the pitch improves your chances of winning football matches. But is this just another 90 minutes he doesn't need under his belt? He could have done this on the couch and we could have played Sabitzer in there. I'm just thinking in 3 or 4 weeks' time, when we're looking at Bruno Fernandes maybe a little bit off it, do we say, did we need to rush him back for that game against Tottenham?
Look, I think if Bruno doesn't play, we don't perform to the level, and then maybe we go behind earlier. So it's really difficult to say in hindsight. Bruno is so crucial to the way United play, and you saw that against Sevilla in the away leg, didn't you? When he's not there, and can I say, I love Casemiro. Something's wrong.
There was a comment earlier about Casemiro. I think Box might have brought it up. I forget who brought it up in regards.
He's off.
What is it with?
I don't know what's happened. If that was McTominay in a Casemiro mask,
you could only imagine. And that's been a few weeks. Yeah, and that's what I always.
If that was Casemiro with a McTominay mask, the criticism would be unbearable.
Oh, he'd be crucified, and I said wrongly so, because the criticism of McTominay and even Fred, Maguire, all the players, the criticism is well over the top, and Casemiro is one of the players who escapes a lot of the criticism. And look, he's been absolutely brilliant. And today I thought he was fine. And a Casemiro fine performance is a little bit sort of substandard compared to our expectations. So it is hard when sort of weighing up. I look at the issue. Look, Casemiro, I think he's the best midfielder in the world, or has been the best midfielder besides Kevin De Bruyne, obviously. But there is something there, and I don't know what to put it down to. I think if the day Casemiro signed, we would have looked at his performance. If we had a crystal ball and looked at this Tottenham performance, we would have questioned at the time of the sign and said, what's he coming here? Is he just here for the money? Is he past it? Now, the evidence we've had in previous performance throughout this season is far from that. He cares, he gives his all, and he's absolutely brilliant. But when you do see this, you think, why'd Real Madrid get rid of him? Look, he's been absolutely brilliant. I'm not saying why did we get him, but those are the sort of the questions we sort of maybe foresee performances like this. And I just put it down is at the end of a long season, in terms of that World Cup has been in there as well. He's played pretty much every game. He's been fit and available, but then you say that he hasn't played every game because he spent half the season out suspended. So, but he's on Casemiro. Is it a case of circumstance in regards to the fixtures, or just the player that he is?
I don't think he's used to the Premier League's intensity. I think that aspect of it is understated. I think we do need to contextualize that. With Casemiro, he's been playing in La Liga, which is a substantially lower intensity. And even the Champions League is a lower intensity than the Premier League. So that's a factor. He's come into the Premier League at 30. He's been very good. he started on the bench, but then he was played like Bruno every game, every minute, no matter what. Once he came in, that's what happened. And I think there's an element of fatigue. I think he's had a long World Cup. He's adjusting to a different league. He's tired. I think it's as simple as that. He's tired and he's off the pace. And he looks heavy. I got to say, he looks a bit heavier.
I think he always, that's my feeling now out of frustration when the performances aren't quite there. But I go back to even when he's playing really well in the back of my mind, even really well, he does look heavy there. This comment here from
I'm trying to find the reasons. But
Emad here saying should give we should give Casemiro a chance to prove himself. In regards to the one or two issues we're seeing, Casemiro, is it a case?
Sorry, like what a stupid comment that is. Casemiro, all he's achieved in the game, like
no. I think in regards to overcoming the issues he has, is it a case of where we can see where it's going, or he's going to learn from sort of dealing with the game in England?
We need someone to be a backup to him. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but do we make a decision on Casemiro? Obviously, Casemiro is here next year, and we look to a future with him. But are we making judgment? Think, well, hang on, he isn't cut out for the season of an English Premier League, or will he be better off next season after a season of English football?
I think he'll be better. I think for sure he'll be better. He's been good this season. Let's not discount anything that he's done already. He's been good, but at the end of the day, he hasn't performed in the best part of 6 weeks. So at what point do we say, all right, he is good, yes, but he's 31 this year and we need backups to him. He can't be because this is the problem that United have in just about every key position at the moment. When Martinez isn't there, when Rashford isn't there, when Bruno isn't there, when Casemiro isn't there, you got these players. You need solid backups, and United don't have solid backups to any of those players.
Anything else in regards to individuals throughout the team, in regards to performances, good, bad? I don't know. Can we do 3-2-1 today? Because obviously, before the match, we picked a draw. But who do you say? Luke Shaw, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho?
That last comment's making me laugh.
Jadon Sancho looked good in the first 5 minutes. And then it's sort of that one where sometimes when a player's in good form, when the ball's going out to him, say, he's going to score here. And Sancho's not in good form. But when that ball went out to Sancho, he said, he's going to score here. And he obviously, I don't know, it's something about his body language. He went past the player, scored a nice goal. So Jadon Sancho was good in the first half. Wan-Bissaka was good, but ultimately, to give him points in regards to 90-minute performance, probably not.
Oh, I thought Wan-Bissaka was faultless. I thought he was so good when he was on. I really do. I think he deserves points for sure. Bruno deserves points.
Luke Shaw was our best player.
Brilliant, but then he fell off.
Yeah, first half. It was too.
Is that Luke Shaw's fault, or did he suffer because of what happened around him?
I don't think his job doesn't change as a centre back. No, yes, okay, it does sort of influence it in terms of players in front of him, make different decisions, makes the games harder a little bit. But his
cut
job
up through the middle, right? Like he didn't make any mistakes for the goals, really. Luke Shaw. He did duck his head for the first goal, though. I did notice that.
Well, I think he made a real. Again, I've tried to wipe the goals from my memory. He made a crucial block just before the first goal. He made a block, and then I think the block came out to priority, then put it in. But yeah, Luke Shaw, I'm not sure what to make. His first half, say he's best on the pitch, but second half we conceded 2 goals.
Yeah, Sancho and Rashford score, but I thought outside of their goals, neither of them really. Rashford looks our most dangerous player. There's no doubt about that. When he's on the ball, things happen, but yeah, 29 goals for Rashford this season now. He's closing in on 30. It's remarkable.
It's crazy. You mentioned the word remarkable, which I do agree. Well, what a season he is having goal scoring wise, at least. But then, what's the other guy in Manchester on?
49. 49 goals this season. Erling Haaland. What a joke.
I think that's going to be hard for, let's say we bring in Harry Kane or Marcus Rashford develops into this really consistent goal scorer for many years. It's going to be very hard just compared to Harry Kane, to Erling Haaland, because you don't need that. Obviously, if you get someone score 50 goals, that would be nice, but you don't need that. But what's going to happen is Harry Kane's going to come in or Osherman's going to come in. They're going to score 25 goals and they're going to be called a flop. They're going to be labelled a flop because they're not scoring as much as Erling Haaland. Of course they will.
Nah, mate. I mean, at the end of the day, I remember at Real Madrid, Ronaldo had a season where he scored 63, I want to say, 63 goals in one season. No one was saying, and at the time, Rooney was scoring 34 for
You look
United.
back
No
at
one said Rooney.
Ronaldo's last 2 seasons at Old Trafford, not not the last spell, but the his first spell at Old Trafford, the season where he scored 42 goals. The next season, I forget what he scored, high 20s,
18,
maybe early 30s.
Mm.
I forget what it was in all competitions. He was the best player in the world, and Man Utd won our player of the season. But he's absolutely brilliant for United. Took us to a Champions League final, won the Premier League pretty much single-handedly. It was a shocking season by Ronaldo's standards in regards to the perception and the reaction to him.
But that's the point. I think while that's an extreme view, I think comparing a standard one player sets against his own standard is different to saying Rashford scored 30 in a season, Haaland scored 50, therefore Rashford's shit. Like at the end of the day, if
they're definitely not the case in my opinion. I just think how it will be perceived and how Twitter reacts and how the media reacts, and that influences those players.
If Haaland scores 30 next season, he'll be called a flop. That's what will happen, which I find hilarious. Can I say though, like, not to, look, Haaland deserves all his props, but what I will say on Erling Haaland is I think if I played up front for Manchester City, I reckon I could probably get 5 goals. Obviously, like accounting for my lack of ability in comparison, right?
I reckon you get 5 shots, whether it beats the goalkeeper or not.
All right, I'll get 5 shots. Okay. But that's not my ability in the English Premier League. So my point is, all right, let me give you a good comparison. I think if Luke Shaw played striker for Manchester City, I reckon he gets at least 10 goals a season. Because a lot of those goals are tap-ins because I
remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Solskjaer said one day about training that Luke Shaw is one of the best finishers at the club.
Yeah. Well, maybe Shaw scores 20. Right, but the point being that with Erling Haaland, he's a lethal striker, undoubtedly. I think there are still flaws in his game, but in saying that, because he's such a great goal scorer himself, like his conversion rate is obviously world class, best conversion rate in world football, so that can't be argued with. You couple that with the fact that Manchester City create an environment where you can pretty much take tap-ins as long as you're lethal. It's just the perfect combination for someone to score 50. Let me put it this way. Ronaldo scored 24 for Manchester United last season. If Ronaldo was in Manchester City's team, how many goals would have Ronaldo scored? I reckon he gets at least 40.
It's hard. That's so hard to see in regards to the way he plays, but also his goal scoring ability and what's happened with him in terms of physically. It's so hard to see what would have happened with Ronaldo. I think the first season coming in instead of going to Manchester United, that might have been a different story. This season, you don't know what's going to happen with that. But before we do wrap up, Larry, a finalisation of those 3-2-1s. I would be saying we conceded 2 goals.
Bruno 3 for me.
Nah,
Bruno gets the assist for Rashford.
But that chance where he hit the crossbar, that for me.
Harsh. That's harsh. The goalkeeper's in such close vicinity, so he's obviously he wanted to go for a chip, and he's obviously banged it. He smashed it. This is moments, man. When a goalkeeper's that close to you, and you're like, he couldn't have rounded the keeper.
That miss obviously looks far worse than it is. He does very, very well, but in terms of 3 points, in terms of, I thought Luke Shaw. Maybe someone correct me in the comments. So I thought that first half was borderline brilliant from Luke Shaw. I thought he's our best player.
Would be my 3. I thought he was top when he was on.
I don't know if we're going to agree or disagree on this. So whoever maybe puts the first 3-2-1s in the comments, first realistic 3-2-1s in the comments.
I think it's those 3 players. I just don't know in what order.
Bruno 1, but then we're throwing out our 2 goal scorers, and again, maybe rightly so. But
outside of, I hate to say outside of a goal. I mean, goals are why you play football. Sancho outside of the goal, not really. Rashford was good. I think he looked dangerous, didn't he? I know it's a difficult one. I think Bruno deserves 3. I really do.
Yeah, Matt, he's saying such poor second half from the whole side. Base points
Bruno
on the first.
Look,
people are going Bruno. Okay, Bruno for 3 points. Usually I agree with the Bruno love today. I don't agree, but I'll cave to the people in the chat. Bruno for 3 points, Wan-Bissaka for 2, and Jadon Sancho for 1. Look, I thought Sancho in his last 2 appearances looked a bit sharper, with a little bit more intent. And that's interesting as well with Anthony Martial through the middle. Last couple, and again, coming off the back of injury, Anthony Martial through the middle compared to Marcus Rashford. Sometimes better football at moments coming with Rashford through the middle, which goes sort of against everything that we've said in recent times. I don't think that's the answer going forward. I think Marcus Rashford's better on the left, but in terms of the criticism Sancho faces, and rightly so at times, I think a lot of our better, more stable and composed football comes with Jadon Sancho as opposed to Marcus Rashford on the left. Might not look like it, but in terms of Eric Ten Hag's feeling, I think that's how it sort of unfolds.
I got to give some credit to Rashford here outside of his goal scoring. I think he's evolved as a footballer. I think he's better as a striker now than he used to be. Like, if you think of the Rashford that broke into the United side, just that he was a get in behind striker, and that's still his strength, and it should be his strength. But his back to goal is there. It's not what I'd call world class, but he can do it. It can be effective. He's better in tight areas. He recycles possession a lot better. All in all, I would agree. I think our best football you could argue, has come with Rashford central. And I suppose just whether it's Rashford or Martial, I think it gives the option for the fluidity between Martial, Sancho, and Rashford. All can play on the left with some sort of effect. So if you're doing that to an opposition right back, it can only be a good thing. But yeah, Eric Dyer, man, he's bad. He's a bad.
Lucky he's bad. Otherwise, he could have got that winner in terms of that header. But just as we wrap up, Larry, in regards to, obviously, we've got those 3 points: Bruno Fernandes, Wan-Bissaka, and Jadon Sancho. Last point, we've talked about this match being sort of the race for the top four. And if we win this, we cement top four, and we're going to have the same debate in a couple of days against Aston Villa. If we win this, does it secure top four? Newcastle. Box. I'm fed up with Newcastle winning every game. Not just winning every game, they're bloody smashing teams. They're obviously, Everton are now deep into the relegation zone. I saw that Goodison Park was empty and Newcastle scored a brilliant Isaac went past 4 or 5 players on the byline for a good goal, or set up a goal. Top four. I haven't looked at the table. I'll bring it up now in regards to the ladder. How are you feeling after this result? Because as I said, before at the start of the season, or even before the game, you think a draw here off the back of 120 minutes midweek or on the weekend. In terms of, we do have to take that into context, and ultimately, a draw is not a bad result. Obviously, coming from 2-0 up, it obviously definitely feels like that. But before the game, you think, okay, a draw's not a disaster here in one of our sort of tougher games left. So the ladder here, I'll just look at it here. Just your latest thoughts.
We got 2 tough games. We got Villa at home, and I'm glad it's at home because I think if it was at Villa Park, you could almost say 3 points lost. And we got Brighton away, which is going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be massive. But outside of that, I think United's remaining games are all quite winnable.
I tell you what, I just on my phone, I love having a scroll to find Chelsea. I was looking at all these things. Where's Chelsea? And I had to scroll a bit to find them. And obviously, long may that continue. But I would say a pleasure, Larry.
The final 2 games of the season, United can pretty much, I think that's 6 points in the bag. I think the next 2 games are crucial, though. I think you need to beat Villa at home. And I think if you can get a draw against Brighton away, that's a good result.
Yeah, look, you're right. It all starts with Villa at home, and obviously going to be a very tough test. Unai Emery at Old Trafford. It's kind of what he was built for in regards to games like that. So it will be a tough test. That is Sunday night, 11 p.m. in Sydney, which is good kickoff time. You prefer it on a Saturday, but it is what it is. And probably be back post-match there. It'll be 1 a.m. Monday morning, but we will put the effort in. But we do appreciate everyone joining us. Plenty of different opinions, and rightly so today, because it was a very sort of emotional second half. So, but we do appreciate everyone keeping it nice and sensible. Please do leave a like on your way out to cheer us up after the disappointing loss. I see us again after these games. I always say it's a loss, disappointing loss. It was 2-2 draw, but maybe that's good. Maybe standards are coming back where it feels worse than what it actually is. So until then, I hope everyone has a good weekend. Enjoy your football. And we'll be back maybe tomorrow with a Villa preview. If not, definitely review post-match. But Larry, enjoy your day at work, mate.
I will not. Thank you, mate.
Enjoy. Have a good one.